What's going on, world? We're here. We're back at it again. This time, I'm actually here with one of my good friends, Rosco No E. He's going to be here on the show today, and this episode is going to be a great one. So I hope you all are listening and watching at this very moment. And me and Roscoe, we've been connected since our college days at Bowling Green. He actually came in 2010. I came in 2011, and he graduated in 2014, and myself was in 2015. But we definitely have been able to build a strong rapport. And ever since I've known this guy since college, he has been consistent, whether it's with music, educating others, or even branding himself. This guy is really on it. And he recently wrote a book called "Where My Falcons At," which details how he became the first viral college marketing video rapper of the 21st century. So we're going to get into all of that. We're going to talk about the process of how he was able to write his first book, as well as branding and social media. So with that being said, what's going on, bro? I'm glad that you're here.
Hey, what's going on, man? I appreciate you having me, man. Love the consistency. Love what you're doing, bro, man. And just always providing people with knowledge, man. Just to see how far we've come, and still to go, just from BG until now, man. It's a beautiful thing to see. So, love, and I'm happy to be a part of the show, man.
Oh, of course, man. It truly is a blessing to see our growth since college up until this point. And I guess to get things started off here, can you really tell the audience who Roscoe Noe is and just your journey to where you have gotten today?
Definitely, man. So I kind of like start figuring out because I do a lot of different things, but I turn it into an abbreviation. Especially now that I'm an author and I go by like Roscoe the Reader. And when somebody be like that, they be like, "Bro, you read books or what is this reader?" And I kind of break it down. So I'm a rapper, of course. That's what the R is. Been rapping about 10 years. I'm an educator as well, by nature and by full time. That's what I do as a career. I actually work at a high school. I'm an author now. That's what the A stands for. The D is for a dreamer because I'm always chasing my dreams and trying to get people to dream as well. The other E is for entrepreneur. I own a few businesses, including a branding and consulting company, and also teaching people how to write their own books as well. And then, of course, the R, man, just for a realist, man. I like to keep it real with everybody around me. And I think that that's had brought me a lot of relationships, man. So I'm Roscoe the Reader, bro.
Yeah, I love that, man. And it's really from a branding standpoint. I like how each letter has an acronym for who you specifically are. And man, let's get right into the book, man, because that's one thing that I really wanted to highlight. Just being a young black male,
Yeah,
I think that there aren't enough authors out there, or a lot of people that maybe want to write a book.
yeah.
They're not really sure on how to get started. So I guess to start things off, kind of what was your process when it came to actually writing where my Falcons at, and just how you were able to stay consistent on writing that over a sustained period of time.
Great question. I know a lot of us were struck by the quarantine, when it
Yeah.
happened, and COVID and things like that. But once I was able to work remotely from home, I always knew that I wanted to write a book, just like most of us. But you don't
Hmm.
really have. You think I don't have the time, or
Hmm.
like things like that, which is very true. But I feel like when that quarantine happened, and I realized, like after March and April, when I realized it was gonna be for a while, I was like, let me really do something that I always wanted to do. Now's the time. So literally, bro, I would just I sat down, I thought about it, I prayed on it, talked to my wife. I'm like, man, I want to write a book, and like, we'll just do it. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just do it. So I already knew what it was gonna be about. A lot of people already knew me from the Strokes in a Rap video, but they never knew my story, and I kind of struggled with that for years because I'm like, man, dang, they don't really know who I am, how much success I've overcame. They just kind of know me from that. So literally, bro, I got my computer up, got on the word, and just typed up an outline. And I recommend that for anybody that want to write a book, bro. Like literally all the major points of my college experience, I would just put a title there. So I'm like, chapter one is gonna be freshman year. Chapter two gonna be my sophomore year. Chapter three gonna be my junior year, kind of like that. And I'm like, all right, now what you have to do is put bullet points about some highlights that happened during that time, so you can kind of keep helping you writing a story. So this is before I typed anything. I just had to throw out all my memories, kind of do a brain flush, and I literally just start getting all these memories, man. Like freshman year, what happened? What was the good stuff? What was the bad stuff? What did I learn as a student? What made me better? Sophomore year, same thing. And I realized, like, man, look at the growth. And I'm like, this is gonna be a powerful story. And then talking about like how it led up to me even getting selected for the viral show center rap, man. So I knew I always wanted to write a book, bro, but I just say like sitting down and getting it done. It was tough. Like it was, having a wife and a kid, making time for them as well during a 6, 7 months of me writing, man. I was spending 5 a.m. sometimes, going to sleep at like 3 a.m. sometimes, but I was determined that I knew that if I get this done, how powerful it will be, not only for me, but for people that also want to do their own thing too, man. So that was my driving passion behind that. That's what kept me consistent, man. Looking at the long term goal of it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. And I actually wanted to ask, like, when you first decided, like, okay, I want to write this book, I want to tell my story. Like, what made you want to write it? Was it
Mm.
because you wanted to specifically tell people how you were selected to do the Stroh Center rap? And then also, I wanted to ask, what do you want people to get out of it after they read
Mm.
the book?
Good question. I think it was a little bit of both. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like at first I'm like, nah, I want people to know how I got selected, and then I realized how much I accomplished just outside it. I'm like, nah, I want people to know my story.
Sorry.
Like I want somebody to know somebody that's from Cleveland, Ohio, that's a
Mm-hmm.
first black first generation college graduate from Cleveland public schools. How did he even come into this environment that he knew nothing about to still maneuver and manage to make it out? So I look at it in terms of if you're a current BGSU student or a college student that's a first gen, this is a blueprint for you, literally how I did it, how I had to learn how to study, learning how to network. And if you're any graduates or alumni, or let's say somebody that never went to BG, I'm gonna break that down. If you're a
Right.
graduate or alumni of BG, you're gonna love this book because it's a memory book. It's a memory lane, like especially for those that remember Anderson Arena and
Yeah.
Matt Hall before it became the Quake. Like it's a memory book for that, man. And I think people that are alumni are gonna love this because of the memories. And then
Yeah.
last but not least, a lot of people be like, well, bro, I didn't go to BG. You talking about where my Falcons at? Like, why should I get the book? And I say, listen, man, it's a success story. It's for
Yeah.
anybody. Even if you didn't go to BG, you can just be a Falcon, meaning whatever you're doing in your life, you're trying to fly high. A
Yeah.
Falcon could be anything. A lot of people be like, man, I'm not a Falcon, the mascot. I'm like, are you flying? Are you trying to chase your dream? Are you trying to get somewhere else? How about, aren't you going to try to fly there? And they be like, yeah, I am. I'm like, you a Falcon then. It's anybody. I could have said an eagle. I just chose that to be word on play, but I want
Yeah.
people to get from this a success story. How this young man grew into a nest, came into a nest from a city he wasn't even supposed to be in, and then literally graduated and took off and spreading his wings and flew. And so I feel like anybody that is on that same journey to want to know a success story, it can be for you as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's definitely accurate with everything you're saying because I look at the book as being two different sides. For me, being the alumni, it's definitely going down memory lane because I remember all of the specific um dorms that you mentioned throughout the book, the arenas, all of the different events that we had downtown, the icebreaker
Yeah,
locations,
man.
Perrysburg, Ohio, that being a city that I became familiar with. So I mean, it's a memory lane for me being an alumni, but also I think like me and you talked about this off camera. It's
Yeah.
really a blueprint for any first generation student that may be going to a PWI, a predominantly
Mhm.
white institution,
Mhm.
myself included, I did kind of want to go to an HBCU, but I felt like me going to Bowling Green really
Mhm.
was going to, I don't want to say even put me in the best position for my goals and dreams, but I just felt like
Mhm.
at the time, the program that I wanted to study, Bowling Green was going to give me the best opportunity for that. So I
Gotcha.
think that is not only like you said for people that are familiar with the school, but for people that are going to a PWI that are first generation, maybe the first person in their family going to college. It really is a
Yeah.
success story of how to maneuver in that environment, and I actually want to transition into that. Going to a PWI, myself included, I noticed that you can deal with some racism. Let's just be
Yeah.
honest with
Yep.
how it is, because
Yep.
there's not as many people there that look like us. Yes, there
Yeah.
is a certain population for blacks, but let's just say that a majority of the population is, white people. So can
Yeah.
you talk about how you were able to maneuver, whether it was I love how in the book you talked about different examples of when you were pulled over by the police and different
Yeah.
things where you had to maneuver to be able to get through the system so you could to be able to succeed. So can you kind of talk about that, how going to a PWI and being able to maneuver to succeed and accomplish your goals?
Man, great question, man. I'm glad that you got that too, because a lot of I got to talk about the police situation, man. Like I had so many different run-ins, whether they were good or bad, and even times where like police is a police officer remembered me from the video, and literally twice, and I didn't get a ticket, man. It was kind of things like that, but it was definitely interesting, man, because coming from the inner city of Cleveland, uh, uh, I'm not used to PWI. Everybody's around me in my school, they're black, or things like that. So that's what I'm comfortable around. And I spoke to a lot of my friends about this who went to the same kind of schools as me and went to a PWI, and they failed out because they weren't able to maneuver in that environment. They didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know how to communicate. So my first grade teacher, her name is Miss Poland. She actually is a white lady who basically helped raise me along with my mom. So since I was 6 years old, bro, I've been able to. That's why I call myself a hood bird. I've been raised in the hood and the suburbs, like from the white side and the black side. So I tell people all the time, I've been blessed to know able to maneuver in different environments just based off that alone. Being raised by a white mom and a black mom, and just noticing what type of world we're in. But when I went to college, it wasn't new for me because again, I had friends that weren't black. And I also had friends that I had a personality where I said, look, I'll see people. Let's a lot of times, a lot in this world we're living in, I'm like, man, let's just see people. This is before everything really started revving up with the racial tension. But again, I met a lot of great people. Just I said, if you got a good personality, I just want to meet you. I don't care where you're from, who you look like. But that was me. A lot of people couldn't handle that. So it was definitely an experience, man. Because like I said, I didn't know how to study. I didn't know how to type big essays. I never heard of a financial. I mean, I never heard of a academic advisor. All of these different things, man, that I wasn't prepared for. But I asked questions. So the people that were around me, I became friends with them and asked questions and learned from them. Like, what does this mean? How do you do that? And people were willing to help too, man. So it was definitely a transition. But I wanted to make sure I included that because I have so many friends that weren't able to adapt and they regretted it and they wish they would have went to HBCU and things like that. But I said you have to make the best of the situation you're in, and I feel like I selected BG because not only did I feel at home with the brown and orange colors and because it was a warming campus, but I
Yeah,
wasn't too far away, and I felt like nah, this is I had my cousin and different people there already where I'm like, look, at least I know a few people. Whoever I meet outside of that is just going to come with it, but it's a transition for anybody because it's a new environment. That's for anyone, but it definitely helped prepare me for the corporate world, along with just other partners that I grew to have as I graduated.
yeah, man. I feel like that's the same experience too that I had was just being able to, be there with people that I knew was one of the reasons why I went, and then just being able um to be able to connect with other people that maybe didn't look like me, but I understand that I knew how to communicate. I had the same similar experience from the standpoint of growing up. I grew up in some of the rougher parts of Detroit, but also I eventually did move out of that into more of a suburban area. So I got
Gotcha.
a mix of both worlds. And with my high school, I had a pretty good mix, you know what I'm saying, as far as with seeing both whites and blacks. So when
Yeah.
I went to the university, even being in an environment where majority everyone around me didn't necessarily look like me, I
Yeah.
still was able to maneuver because I knew how to communicate from experiences I had in high school. And I
Yeah.
think that, like you said, man, asking those questions, like especially from a studying standpoint,
Yeah.
instead of acting like you know everything, getting in that environment, making sure that you're attending tutoring, you're leveraging, using help, well, getting help from your classmates to help you
Yeah.
study. All those different things can help you be able to maneuver and really set yourself up for success.
I
So
agree.
I really wanted to dive into another aspect in the book that I really enjoyed was just the different themes with each chapters, and you kind of highlighted on it at the beginning of this episode. But I really love how within the first two chapters, you're almost taking people through different stages of moments that you had with finishing high school and transitioning to your first year of college that aligns you for the Stroh Center rap that you
Yeah.
did your sophomore year in BG. So, can you kind of take people through those highlight moments that exactly set it the stage for the
Mm.
opportunity that released on September 9th of 2011?
Man, that's awesome, man. I love it too, bro. My bro doing his research, man. That's what's up. So,
Definitely.
I went to John Adams High School, man, Cleveland Public School, and I had a great high school experience, man. Play sports, a lot of people don't know. Like I played basketball. That was, I was real big in Cleveland. Um, you know, uh, potentially had scholarships, but injured myself. Follow my coach, typical stuff. But I realized like, man, I thought if it's meant for me to go to play basketball, I'll make BG team because it was between BG and OU. And BG let me in on academic probation, and I'm like, man, or even that, like me barely getting into BG, like it's so much. But that first chapter, I'm talking about like me finishing up my senior year of high school and literally getting involved after basketball season and realizing I wasn't going to the NBA, putting my mindset on branding myself as an entertainer. I knew that BG was a D1 school, and it wasn't huge like O State, but it was big enough where I could conquer, where I could meet everybody in a few weeks, and not compared to not knowing everyone. So
Mhm.
that freshman year, man, in the chapter was talking about how I went from a senior in high school to a freshman in college, which is a big jump. That summer was interesting for me because when I got to BG that first year, I was on a mission to everyone's gonna know Roscoe. Like I
Yeah.
had it in my mind. I said I used to knock on people's doors, man, like in Mac, and I'd be like, hey, what's your name? I'm Roscoe. I'm a freshman. Nice to meet you. They'd be like, oh, I'm Joe or I'm Tina. And I'm like, hey, I see you around campus. And literally, I built all my buzz up from that. So a lot of people don't know. I threw a party in Mac East, a dorm room party, man. The first week of school, man, and a lot of people came. People didn't know I can do it, and I had like people raving through the halls. It was just like crazy. They like, man, Roscoe. They was just chanting my name. So I'm like, man, I gotta get this forever. So I just kept building relationships. People just, they weren't used to that. That was the turned up era too. So I was like, I just want to take care of my grades and make sure people know that I'm a fun person. With that being said, I had to achieve a 2.5 GPA to even get off academic probation, even to stay in BG, man. And I finished that quarter with, I think, a 3 point something, 3 point GPA. So after that, I realized, like, man, I'm in here now. I'm really about to make a name for myself and a legacy. And I wanted to make music. I already had did it the summer before, but I'm like, this is a big old platform for me. It's a big audience. I always knew about branding and marketing, but I didn't know what it was called. But I'm like, man, it's a big audience. So I remember typing on Facebook, like, hey, who got a studio on campus? And another dude from Cleveland, his name is SP. He went to Central Catholic. He had a dorm room. He was in Harshman, but he had a microphone set up in a little closet, which is the sliding doors. So literally, bro, recorded my second song in there, which was called Brown and Orange. The Zetas had a Blue Magic pageant, and they was kind of like, "Hey, we like you. We hearing about you on campus, bro. You should be perfect for this." So they was like, "But what you want to do for your talent?" I'm like, "Man, I like to rap, but I was dancing at first." So I rapped it, man. Literally, the school went crazy. Like everybody was like Brown and Orange, and then it was a remix to Wiz Khalifa's Black and Yellow. And that is really how I got my name on campus. This is before the Stroh Center rap. This is before anything, man. That was all groundwork that was built up. And when I did that Brown and Orange song, man, kind of the black community and a lot of other people took me in. And not only from that, I was throwing parties and events. So I was really building my own popularity on my own. And then Dance Marathon had heard about me, which is something they do at BG, which was my first big performance ever, in the rec center. And was everybody was there, man. Black students, white students, but a lot of white students were there, and that's how I tapped into that market. Literally, once I performed there, man, at Dance Marathon, I literally had both worlds, that knew my name, knew what I was trying to do, and then from that, man, I remember the summer going into my sophomore year, I was working on new music for me. I'm like, look, bro, I got some buzz going. People want to hear more. And then I get a call one day randomly. I was in my sister's bedroom, my mom's house, from somebody like, hey, is this Roscoe? I'm like, yeah. They like, hey, man, I'm calling for a company, I think I called it Zab House in there, but the company's called Mad House. And they was like, man, look, we're doing a donor, rap video. We could have wrote them a letter, but we want to make it cool. Nobody knows about this, bro. And we heard about your song, man. Do you got any more records? And I didn't have anything else. Like literally just only had that song. So what I did was I had just got a brand new MacBook for Christmas. This was Christmas break, I think. And I recorded myself a brand new song, like right there with my webcam, bro. Like literally set it up, put on the Mac Miller beat instrumental, and I just recorded, man. And crazy thing about it is it was the Mac Miller Donald Trump song. And it was
Oh,
the instrumental. So like how everything is now, people was still bumping that, man. So
yeah.
put that instrumental on, recorded it, sent it to them. They like, we loved it. We love your energy. You'll be perfect. So long story short, man, I had took a day off, and because I was working for summer stuff in Cleveland. I think I was being a lunch monitor or working at a summer camp. And I went out to Perrysburg. We recorded the song. I met the dude. A lot of people don't know I didn't write the song. So the dude wrote the song, kind of ghostwrote it. Only thing I said from the song that I did was where my Falcons at. Like literally, and that's what inspired the book. Like out of them writing that whole thing, I'm like, man, after I recorded, I'm like, it's missing something. It need like some type of chant, some type of flavor. And that's when I said, Bowling Green, Falcon team, where my Falcons at? And that was it, bro. Like literally, I just felt like when I said that I wanted all people that was a Falcon to feel like, man, this is me. So we recorded it, bro. Shot came back down. I shot a video for a whole day. Went home and I heard nothing from them for weeks. And they like, yeah, man, good job, and that was it. So I was in class, bro, and literally when I was in class one day, one of the girls who was a part of the athletes, they got a chance to see it first at the ceremony when the stroke first opened. And she was like, man, I loved your video. I'm like, what video? Because I'm still supposed to keep it a secret. And she like, man, the stroke center video. I'm like, what? So I checked my phone. She like, it's on YouTube. It probably had to be like 20 or 30 views, man. But I promise you, bro, a week or two later, it's at 5,000 views. And then BG newspaper picked up on it, then 10,000, then it just took off. Nobody knew what to expect, man. So that sophomore chapter is just talking about how a little bit about how I got selected and how that came up. The junior year is just talking about, everything after that. Okay, you got all this hype and all the buzz around you, but you still want people to know you can rap. You don't want to be a one hit wonder where they like, man, all you did is the Stro rap. So I was on a mission to say, no, I really can rap. So I could have got blinded by just being a Stro Center rapper, and people didn't even know I really rap. But I'm like, nah, I want them to know I do this. So junior year, just talking about the experience of trying to balance being big man on campus and telling them like it's more to me than just that. And then senior year, man, just living up the dream, man, soaking it all in and becoming an adult where I realized like my business mindset kicked in. And I'm like, man, wow, I did something for the school that was so huge. But now I'm starting to realize my worth. I'm starting to realize like, I want some more out of it because I'm about to graduate. I'm 60,000 in debt and I'm about to get a job, but I don't want to just be forgotten about because, I've heard from people that graduated, once you graduate, that's it. So I was just trying to leave as much legacy as possible. And then the last chapter where my Falcons at goes into like literally, what life was like after you graduate. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about like life after college. So I literally talk about being in the corporate world. I talk about what it was like when I didn't have a job and finding a job. What it was talking about just reaching success, man, and still making music throughout all of that, man. So it's each chapter gets deep in the details, man. But that's kind of just a quick synopsis of everything that's outlined in the book, including some other spoilers in there.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to really talk on how the moment that you had with the Stro Center rap, it really opens your eyes up to the business side of things. And that's one
Yeah.
thing I want to transition into. I like how in the book you mentioned how at the time you really didn't think to ask for a contract
Hmm.
or for paperwork, but after you did the Stro Center rap, you really focused on, okay, how can I protect my intellectual property?
Yeah.
How can I make sure that when I'm going to do these events that I'm making sure I'm being compensated for my name,
Hmm.
likeness, and my image? So let's kind of dive into that. What were the steps that you took? This can be, after that moment in college and even to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
How have you been able to take that moment and say like, okay, moving forward, I need to make sure that I'm protecting my intellectual property?
Man, great question, man. Dude, like after that experience, even I think I talk about in the book too. Like after I did that video, a lot of people wanted me to perform. I got booked for a lot of shows, and I remember my guy Tony. Shout out to him. He like, man, you need to get some contracts, bro. Like you need to get some stuff on paper, man, because people got to pay you because you're worth something. Because I would go to an events and people would come because it was me. Like people were only coming to these things because I was there. And I remember getting booked for an event with UAO, and they paid me for that. I think I got like $300, $400, and that was the first time. I'm like, man, that's when I realized I can get paid for my work. And I'm like, okay, is this from this day forward? I'm getting paid for myself, man. So, literally, I remember doing more events, hosting fashion shows. A lot of people don't know I always hosted. I think I've hosted the most fashion shows and events in BG history for a student. I was
Mhm.
always hosting because I was always trying to get my face shown and name out there. But I realized that after the Stro Center rap, because I was like a mini celebrity, and people used to stop me in the union all the time. I would be late for class because people would try to like want to take pictures, and I would hear people whispering. I literally act like I got my headphones off and just mute it and just walk through the union and hear people like, "That's him." I think that's bro. It used to be crazy. Like so, I
Yeah.
really used to have to cut around the whole union to literally go to my classes. Because it was getting insane, and I realized, like, man, this is bigger than me. This is a situation where, people are coming up to me saying, I came to BG because of you. I did this because of you. So I'm like, man, what's with all this being said? I'm still just, it's like a contract when a rapper make a hit song and you go sign to a label and the song is popping, but once the song fall off, they still getting paid, but you kind of just like, you just got a little fame. So after I spoke with a lot of my teachers and professors and they put me on game and I started to do my own research, minoring in entrepreneurship and learning about business and marketing, I'm like, man, no, bro, I'm a business. I'm a brand myself. And I'll make sure moving forward, even into the rest of my career after college and moving on, I'm gonna let people know like everything's a business. If you want to do me for something, use me or whatever the case may be, we got to have a contract and I got to be compensated just as well as you. So I'm glad that that experience happened because now as a businessman, I've had much success because it taught me some valuable lessons. But it was deep, man. Like you want to be compensated for your work. And even as a musician now, man, having my own label and things like that, I teach a lot of artists the same information. And it was like I kind of learned, I had to learn on my own, so it taught me a lot because now everything's paperwork. A lot of people that are rappers now they get into deals where they don't do the research, they don't know what they're giving up. So I needed that experience to teach me for that. But now with the book, I found a way where I want to get my compensation back. It has nothing to do with like, oh, I'm writing this book because it's time to get paid. It's more so I'm writing this book because it's more of my story, and I know that those that saw that video and how powerful that was, they want to know where I'm at. They want to know what is he still doing. I could have fell off, could have graduated college, went on the wayside and I just would have been the guy from the Strokes and the rap. But the fact that I'm still carrying success, still doing music, still maintaining a career is more to me to that, man. So for that, people should buy this book. For that, they should get something behind something positive. It's not like I'm out here doing anything negative or talking down anyone. I'm talking about a success story where it's going to be so many other students like me that go to BG for the next 20, 50, 60 years that they need to know it was somebody that went through the same thing as you and you can get it done too. So I want to prevent dropout rates, even if they don't go there. But I'm like, you got somebody that you can come and say, man, I heard about him, and he graduated from 2014, but his name's gonna be a part of BG for the rest of his life, for the rest of that campus's life, man. Because every time y'all get off exit 181, see that stroll, you gonna know who I am. You got to. It's embedded in there. So I'm on a mission now to connect with a lot of BGSU Falcons, and I've been doing a lot of groundwork. I ain't been getting as much, butt bite as I want, but I always think in the long game, man. I'm a consistent player, so I'll stay consistent, keep knocking on doors, and sooner or later, I'll be in that Hall of Fame.
Oh, of course, man. I think that's the biggest testament to everything. How you were able to take that experience and it made you become more focused on intellectual property, trademarking, branding
Yeah,
yourself. Where now, when you're going to do events, when you're doing music,
yep,
whenever you're doing something that has your name, likeness, and image, you're making sure that you have the right infrastructure in place, but also that you're protecting yourself to make sure that you are being compensated financially for
yep,
your services. And I actually wanted to get into some branding and just social media. I think that you do an excellent. You're very good
well,
at
thank
just the way you're able to brand yourself on social media, and you even mentioned within the book how when you first were, your freshman sophomore year, even after the Stroh Center rap, you
you.
really found a way to master Twitter and
Yeah,
just being able to really look at different ways on social media of how you can brand yourself. So can you really talk on that aspect for an entrepreneur out there that's listening, for someone that's in the music industry, on how they can use branding and social media to really develop, what they're doing, with their
yeah.
specific career or business?
Ah, man, love these questions, man. You got all the good tidbits out of this. Like, I kind of, and people, and I don't like to give all myself the credit, but like, I was one of the first artists on Twitter that was like promoting himself for music. I think back then everybody wasn't a rapper. Nowadays everybody rap, but like in 2011, I was the first person on Twitter. I was always hip to that because I've always had a computer. So I was when Facebook got started, I was first one with a Facebook in my neighborhood. I was really one of the first ones in my neighborhood with a computer anyway, so it's kind of different. But when Twitter came out, I was the first one on there. Instagram, like I was always on it, man, because I knew social media was gonna be big. And I remember sitting in Mac. I used to go to the computer lab, man, and I'd be in there because it had a big MacBook computer. And I'm like, man, that's my computer. Nobody get on that. And I used to be on there, man, just promoting. Me and my dude Bird, like I'll use the webcam to record videos. I really could, man. I could. My YouTube channel would be crazy right now if I just knew what I had when I had it, man. Because I was already doing it and I was getting like thousands of views on YouTube. I was monetized. I was creating Pound Believe on Twitter, which I had everybody saying Pound Believe, man. It was crazy, bro. But I used that because I said I knew that this was the easier way for me to network with somebody compared to the old school way where I got to be out the trunk and I got to call you or I got to like go in person to you. It was right away when I saw it. Like I be thinking about Gary Vee and how Gary Vee always kind of like be peeping stuff early and knowing about it. And I was on it, man. I saw Twitter as being a tool. I saw Facebook as being a tool. I remember I had too many friends on Facebook. They recommended I had a like page. Like I had me to reach the maximum amount of friends on Facebook, man. So at that point, I realized like this is bigger than me. And it's an opportunity where I can press one button and reach out to my whole audience, man. So nowadays, bro, I think with marketing and branding on social media, you have to figure out the algorithm. A lot of people they don't know that word, they don't understand it, but it's based off your consistency and it's based off of you having good content. If you post the same thing every day, same post every day, you won't have that much of a feedback. You're gonna people gonna be like, I'm not gonna follow this person because I see this all the time. But if you start to switch it up, maybe you change up the caption, maybe you change up the color and kind of give it that vibe, it'll still be more appealing to the eye. So I think my steps and tidbits now that I tell people is to always brand yourself as if I have on my Rosco No E hat, like merchandise, man. I'm gonna always find a way. Even with the Where My Falcons At, they had Where My Falcons At t-shirts on campus, and people was rocking them, and I didn't even get one. And I used to ask people all the time, like, "Hey, bro, nice shirt, man. Where you get it from?" They're like, "The straw." I'm like, "Man, cool slanging," and they would just look at me like, "Thanks," and look at me weird. I'm like, "You don't even know that I made that. Like, you don't even know that that's a word that I created, and you're rocking it." But from then, I realized like every time I have a shirt, a hat, any company I start, even with the shirts in the back, I'm going to make sure that it brands myself. But I think you should always have merchandise and marketing. You should always have money put to the side to run ads. You got to run some ads, man. Even if you spend $5, man. I think a lot of people don't know. They don't understand what analytics are. You know, they're not researching what impressions are. They don't even look at the thing that says insights. So y'all got to look at that insights. And if you are a business, make sure you update to a business profile page so you can get the full perks. If you don't have the business actual account, you won't even know what you're doing. You know, you won't even know Facebook. You need to have Facebook and Instagram because they're the same in order to integrate them all. So make sure you're running ads. As a musician, make sure you have videos. People want visuals, man. Like I've been really like heavy on these IG reels, and I feel like it's been working for me, and I think you should too. Everybody, the IG reels is becoming popular even more because they're trying to compete with the TikToks and the all these different things that are coming up. So they're gonna reward you for using there because they want more people to use it. So I look at that because I tell people all the time, you may get 10 likes on your post, but you may got 400 people impressions. Like I'll take the 400 because we always scrolling anyway. I'll take the 400 impressions over the 10 because guess what? That's like somebody saying, "I like your music, bro, but I never told you." You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. Like people gonna see your product, so I'm gonna stay in your face. You're gonna see me to the point you're like, I respect that dude grind, man. I don't know who he is, but I always see him, and I think people support consistency. So make sure you're consistent. Make sure you got some good content, and you can go on Canva or any of these free apps and design your own little logos. Stop waiting on people. Like don't wait on nobody. Go on Google, go on YouTube, and read. Like if I don't say anything else from y'all, just read. That's my secret weapon. I always read a lot. I'm watching videos. I don't listen to a lot of music. I'd rather watch somebody's documentary and study from them, man. So taking tips and everything like that on marketing and studying YouTube is what got me far. So I just say go to YouTube and type in how to brand myself as a blank, how to market myself as a blank, and get a blueprint notebook like one of these little dollar store notebooks, and then literally study it, man. So I'm on a mission, bro. I got this new thing where I'm doing like 2 to 3 posts a day for 90 days. And I kind of been staying consistent, and I'm seeing my reach is getting higher. So it's a mission, man. But if y'all got a vision, man, you got content. Every day you take a break off by not posting, that's one person that don't know who you are. So at this point, just post, post, post.
Yeah, bro. You really hit on some important points because I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and his
Mm,
whole thing is like, you can't really worry about if someone's gonna like this video or this photo. The consistency of doing it over and over, where the people are going to see you continuously, you're going to be able to get over that hump. You can't really focus on. And I used to get in my head a lot of times when I first started with creating content
yeah.
on trying to get it exactly right, but it's just like just put it out there, you know what I mean? And the more you use these different platforms that are available to us with the Instagram, the Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, Clubhouse,
Mm,
even now, I'm
mm-hmm.
looking at strategic ways of how I can be able to create content on all of these platforms so I can
Yeah.
be able to have my name, around in various different ways with what I'm creating with this brand. And I think that what you're saying about the analytics is so important because if you don't have the business account, if you're not able to do the research on your own analytics, how
Yeah.
are you going to be able to look at the measurements of what you need to improve on or what
Mm,
you need to become better at? So I
yeah.
think that that's very key, man. And I mean that's something that I'm continuously trying to get better at as well for myself. And I actually wanted to get your perspective on, you are an educator. You're
Yeah,
currently in that space right now. I believe the name of the high school is Saint Martin de
yep,
Porres.
that's right.
And you're actually, I know me and you have talked off camera on one of your goals is really trying to help instill just other younger kids becoming authors and teaching them that process. Can you
Yeah,
kind of speak on that on with your vision when it comes to that in the education
yeah.
system?
Great question, man. So that's it, man. Me working in the schools now, I got like 2 years experience, man. And matter of fact, I got 10 years experience with youth. Period. My
Yeah.
first job was working at a as a youth specialist at a rec center when I was 15. But now that I'm in education, man, and I understand how to relate to students and things like that, I'm like, man, these kids got stories. These students, all of us. I think everybody in the world has a story, but are you going to tell it? Sometimes you may not know where to start. So I'm on a mission now, man. Now that I have my book out and I know how powerful it's going to be for students and future students and people going into the corporate world as well as entrepreneurs, I'm on a mission, man. I want to start speaking at high schools. I want to speak at middle schools. I want to tell them how I became an author, how I became a college graduate. Let it make it look cool. Students want to see somebody that's cool doing something. They don't want to. They and I talk to my students all the time and ask for insight. They don't want to hear it from anybody who doesn't look cool to them. You have to relate to them, and I feel like they'll take it in more. So my mission is to help other authors, especially young authors, become authors. Tell your story, write your book, publish it, the whole nine, so you can get the compensation, you can get the royalties off of that for the rest of your life. And not only from the royalties from that, you actually know how to sit down and sit your mind in something and do it. I want to push literacy, man. I feel like in our community, especially for our young kids, we got to read more. We're
Yeah.
posting this in a social media online world where reading has become the thing of the past. But that's what actually took me to the next level. So I'm on a mission to promote reading as well, man. Starting book clubs, and everything like that. So y'all stay tuned, man. I'm gonna be having a lot of authors under my belt, man. Young authors that I'm helping. We're gonna be hosting a lot of book clubs, but I do want to make sure that I'm speaking to students not only about that, but just motivating them. I think mental health is a big thing right now, and we need we need them to get that positivity again. We want to get them inspired. And what better way than to do that from someone that they can relate to, whether you're in the suburbs or the hood or a private school. I want to kind of attack all sectors, and then take it to the colleges where I'm speaking to college students as well about life after graduation.
Yeah, man. I definitely think that when it comes to reading, it's very important to instill that with younger children. Especially in the high school at the high school level, because a lot of kids are. I know myself growing up, like in high school, I read a little, but not as much as I needed
Mm-hmm.
to. And
Same.
and the reading is very essential to just your development, as a person. Now that I know when I went to Bowling Green, I got more into reading, and it really is very helpful. So for you to be able to actually give back to the community in that way, and just being able to educate them in other ways of what you're
Yeah.
doing is really a blessing. And I actually wanted to also talk on when it comes to like your company with Mad Pinnacle Circle.
Yeah.
I like how you have three various different aspects with that company. You have the
Yep.
record label, but then you also have the e-commerce and the publishing side. And
Yep.
I think that when it came to you writing your book, I really want to get into how you were able to vertically integrate yourself, because you have the publishing all done by yourself. You went ahead and you self-published, so you didn't
Yep.
necessarily have to worry about having to put it collaborating with either a bookstore or
Yep.
trying to do something where they were going to take a majority of your revenue with the book. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted you to kind of really touch on that, on the importance of like how you were able to really control the publishing aspect
Yeah.
with Mad Pinnacle Circle and all of the other various aspects within that business as well.
Let's go. Look,
Yeah,
man, I'm hype over here. So,
yeah,
again, I've always been, my mindset has been since graduation independent. Be
independent.
independent. How can you be self sufficient and independent? If I can get something done on my own compared to having to pay someone or it's a way to do it, a lot of us, and as a consultant, I can say this a lot of people can, all the stuff they ask me information about is online, but they maybe be too lazy or they don't understand it. So, yeah, you're going to pay me for the research, but I'm a research individual, man. I love to research. So, shout out to my guy Jamil, man. He actually has a publishing company called Elevated Waves, and he actually helps independent authors publish their book. He takes you self-publish. He takes you through the entire process from, how you get it, how you get the books printed, how you get your transcript edited, How do you do things like get your book cover design? All the stuff, man. How do you get it published? Because again, like you said, a lot of these authors that I research online, they talked about how much they regretted in early stages by not self-publishing. Having a publishing house company come in and pay them a lump sum, and them getting a big profit out of their book. Or even now, my book is available on Amazon as well, but Amazon takes a huge portion of the profits that I make off of that. So I always recommend people to come directly to my website, and that's why when you purchase from the website, it comes with a bookmark, it comes with the stress ball, it comes with a wristband, it comes personally hand signed. Just from Amazon, you just get the book sent to you, and that's it. So I wanted to give people an extra incentive, and I think as business people, when it comes to being self-published, you got to give people more for their bang for their buck.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta over promise and over deliver, man. Because I remember in business, when I was working at one of the news stations in Cleveland, my manager used to always tell me that you always, never over promise and under deliver. And I used to have a hard time, like, what does that mean? Until I realized what it meant. And I'm like, nowadays, I'm like, I could have just gave you a regular book, put it out, and charged like, there it is. But I say, man, I want you to get the experience, huh? Or when you open it, I want you to be like, man, this sign to me is one of one. He took his time. This is a wristband. This is a bookmark. It's for me. And I felt like that. I say, man, if I spent $35 or $25, I feel like, man, I got bang for my buck. I know this is ain't not the average price for books, but this is a one of one story. When it comes to Gucci and Louis Vuitton, they charge $300 for a shirt. You buy it, but somebody charge $35 for a book is too much. Come on, y'all. So I wanted to speak on that too, because I know I spoke to some people and they like, man, that's a lot for a book. I was like, well, in whose eyes?
No.
Like I purchased book. I saw a book $100. I did my personal
Yeah.
research, and I say, if you have a story and you know what it's worth, put that out there. If it was up to me, I'll charge 1,000. But I just wanted to be realistic, and I say, man, for $35, that's you're getting a lot with that, and it's still a collectible item. This is just like it's not, it's like a collectible. It's not a product that you can use and then it's gone. Like this is something you can have forever. So I think that's what I wanted to get across too, man. As self-publishing, don't sell yourself short. This is your story. This is what you're doing. You know what it's about. So if people really want to get into this and benefit from it, then they'll pay for it. This is a real story. And I feel like, how many people y'all know that's an author? Just off the simple fact somebody wrote a book, I'm like, I know it was hard work, so I want to support that guy just because he took the time, or that young lady because she took the time to actually do it. I want them to see that I love the positivity. I love that they're actually trying to put some good stuff in the world and not negativity. So that's why I say that's what my price is. Now on the website now, I have this thing now where if you just want the book only, it's just $27.50. It doesn't come with the trinkets, doesn't come with the other stuff. But I feel like some people say, I may not want all the cool stuff. I'm like, you don't want no swag, that's on you. They may not want it, but for those that may not be from BG that just want the book, now on the website you can just purchase the book solely. I will still sign and it comes with a bookmark, but I want people to get the full experience, knowing that as a businessman, I'm gonna always give you more than what you asked for. If you get any product from me, I want it to be custom to you. I want you to know what it's like, because it's all about customer experience, man. So make sure as you self-publish it, whatever you do as an independent person, make sure your company is right, whether it's an LLC or a corporation. Make sure you have lawyers together. Make sure you have your trademark. Make sure you with the Library of Congress and things like that, and copyrighting your work. Because now what I've learned from my experience at BG is I want to make sure everything is legit. I want to make sure my name's on everything, my paperwork's together, because when the income comes in or if anything happens, I'm already protected. So that's why I always use unique names in the book. I know we talked about that off record.
Yeah.
A lot of the names
That's
when
what I
people
was
read,
saying.
yeah, a lot of people talk about that. They gonna read it. They're gonna be like, man, I don't know this person, but it's rhyming. So what I did was, a lot of people that are prominent in this book, that are professors or people that I know that I met or just friends, I gave them a nickname in the book because they're a character. So once we do the audio book and the and a small teaser, once we do the audio book and the movie, these will be characters in the book. But I used a lot of the staples because I didn't want to always use the actual names, just in case something came up and someone wanted to say something and things like that. I still wanted to protect myself all the way around down to the name system. So now that it's out, man, and it's published, man, I feel like it's all official. It's not slurring anyone's name. It's my story, and if someone doesn't like it, that's fine. This is my story. You don't have to like it, but those that do it, they'll get some. They'll be thrilled by what they hear from it.
Yeah, man, it truly is experience. I mean, from beginning to end, I definitely think that, you know, what you're saying about over delivering, over promise and over delivering, you definitely did, man. For
Thank
in
you.
my eyes, $35 is not a lot at all for a
Thank
book, and especially with someone that is pushing out positivity and trying to educate you on how they were able to maneuver in the PWI, even from the branding and the social media gems that you drop throughout the book. I think that
you.
you're going to tremendously get value out of it. And I think, like, I really love how you added a personal touch to it with the bookmark, with the stress ball, the wristband, and even writing a note in the book. I mean, that's really, man, it's really over delivering because you're giving the people more than what they're paying for. And I think for
Mhm.
anyone that may think that's a lot, honestly, you're not trying to get better. You're not trying to educate
Mhm.
yourself and learn something new. So I think that that's a whole nother problem on itself if you're looking at it in that aspect. But
They got that Gucci though. They got that
exactly.
product.
That product. That's what I'm saying. How are we supporting? That's another thing, man. We can't be supporting these billion-dollar companies that are probably most likely white owned. I'm gonna say
Yep.
it like it is.
Yeah, man.
But we don't want to support our own black brothers and sisters that are trying to come up, that are
Yep.
trying to influence and make a difference in the world. We got to support each other, man, because
Mhm.
we're supporting things that are liabilities instead of assets. So
Woo.
it's a whole nother it's a whole nother
Don't
thing.
tell them not, coach.
Yeah, bro.
Nah, man, that financial literacy is important, man. And even me,
Uh,
being licensed in life insurance, man, and being
yeah,
in the
let's get into
financial.
that too. Let's get
I'm
into
about to
that
say,
too.
yeah, because that's our lane, man. So I got my license in life insurance, man, and just financial education in March of 2019.
Hmm.
So I'm like, man, I need to do this, bro. I know how big it is in the community. I'm thankful that I've always had good credit, going through college and everything, in a bank account because of my teacher teaching me things. So I'm like, how can I have all this information to me and not tell others who I know struggle with it? I know a lot of people that just are not financially set, because they don't know. And a lot of times when you talk about financially set, people think that you're talking about being rich. I'm not talking about being rich. We're talking about knowing how to manage your money, whether it's $100 or 100,000. How do you manage that? How do you make it work for you? How do you put that back into it? Because that's what it comes down to, man. And like you said, I'm like, when somebody mentioned $35, I'm like, look, think about what you spend $35 on a regular. You know what I'm saying? And that you're not gonna ever have again. It may just be here and gone. But I think it goes back to people purchase what they want, and I had to humble myself and realize that and say, you know what? I can't be frustrated at people that I know that haven't got the book yet, or people that I know that told me that they're going to get it but never got it, or the thousands of messages that I sent on LinkedIn and a few people gotten back to me. Like, I worked through that. I use it as motivation and work through it. But I say, you know what? All it takes is one sale. And I want to talk about the story because Mr. Schmidhorst, who actually is, was a part of the Stroh Center rap video, and he's the person named after the College of Business. So
Yeah.
the new College of Business is called the Schmidhorst College of Business. I actually had a phone call with him week and a half ago. And he just told me, he loved what I was doing and he see it. I reached out to him via email and he purchased 5 copies of the book. So that right there, yeah, bro, that right there took my mindset to a whole new level because I say, I just want you to know my story, sir. I felt like we were part of that video and I saw you around and things like that, but I just want you to truly know me and for him to tell me that he's a grinder and he sees me someone that's grinding and he loves to see it. It's not stopping me, man. So small little flex, just to know the guy who the College of Business named after, that's my guy, like, got a book. I'm not selling myself short, man. So don't sell yourself short, man. Just keep working. All it takes is one book. All it takes is one song. All it takes is one product. All it takes is one opportunity to open up and explode, and provide for your legacy, man. I got a wife and kid, with a baby on the way. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't even understand that. So my grind is in overdrive. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for legacy because I come from a situation where legacy wasn't always set up. So if I had the power to do it, why not put myself, my family in a position to win, and have my company and everything passed down for generations to come.
Yeah, man. You're really speaking on generational wealth, man. And I really wanted to, as we're kind of wrapping up with the show here, I wanted you to really talk about the importance of like investing, whether it's the
Mm-hmm.
stock market, or even, any other asset that you may be using. You actually, created a course called Stock Pots.
Yep.
And I really wanted you to really talk on like, how important that is when it comes to passing down generational wealth to our kids. What are
Mm-hmm.
you instilling when you're talking, you know, I know your son is pretty young right now. But
But
let's
he
just
know what's
say,
up.
yeah, yeah. But the conversations that I know that you will have, can you really just talk on the importance of investing and a little bit about that course and
Yeah.
that as well?
Man, thank you, man. First of all, just shout out to you, man, for educating people as well, man, and just being in financial advising. I don't even call it, man. We helping people understand finances, bro. Whether you want to call us financial advisor, financial coach, all these titles, I'm like, man, if you just help people get their finances together. But I always tell my son and them, and I say, and it's been told to me, you want to leave a legacy. And you want to leave some wealth. The most important way I feel like people can leave wealth is through life insurance. Just number one.
Yeah.
Whether you want it, I don't get wrapped in a hole in term. Like I
Yeah.
understand people gonna do what they want, but I just want you to have protection. I don't care what you're gonna do. But I think that's the easiest and the most cheapest way, especially as young adults, where you can actually build that wealth. And then investing in a market, whether you're in forex or whether you're in stocks. I think they try to put stocks and forex people against each other. I was talking to a friend of mine about that. I'm like, let's cut that out. Like
Yeah.
whether you're in forex or stocks, if you're an investor, I'm with you, man. I don't care what you're doing. I got friends killing it in forex. I got friends killing in stocks. But just knowing that you're making your money grow for you. And I always use this analogy where I got a homie, he makes money, but he keeps it in the shoebox, keeps it that way. And or he puts it in a savings account in the bank. And I'm like, bro, that money's not working for you. Just show me your, bank statements at the end of the year and tell me how did that money move. And he realized that it wasn't moving, and then put some money in the stocks, and just in a few months, just seeing how much more he made. I think a lot of us get wrapped in like, man, I want to make 100,000. I want to get 100 million. I'm like, maybe you just made an extra $30 that you didn't have, and you ain't have to touch it. Look at the long term game, y'all. Let's stop just getting wrapped up in everything happening fast. It's gonna
Yeah.
take some time, let it grow. But I think with investments, man, if you put them in place, not only will it grow over time with that compound interest, but you want to tell your kids, like, I'm doing this for you. My son, I set him up a stock account. He has his own stock. He has a trust fund. We have a Roth, where it's building up. So all the aspects that you can potentially build wealth on, I'm on it. Because I
Yeah.
said it takes a simple thing to research. It takes a few minutes to sign up for it. We're just not doing it, man. So I'm like, bro, you already set. And I said my son's too, and he has more things set up for him than I ever had in my life. So my job is done, and I'm going to continue to do that with him, with my nieces and nephews, and everybody else. So therefore, when that time comes, if one of the it won't just be one success story in the family. All of us will be successful.
For
So
sure.
that's what I think generational wealth comes down to. Not just having one person in the family where I think we all got that family where it's that one or two people in the family that's the successful ones, and you be like, oh, I want to go to their house. Nah, I want everybody in our family, especially from the generation to come, to be successful. Where you can be like, man, I want to go to this house this time, or I want to go to what you call them house. We all can kind of come together.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think that generational wealth and leaving a legacy is so important, man. And I think that from your background growing up, my background, that wasn't a prevalent conversation. And I think that what we can do for our kids, as far as having a will of trust,
Yeah.
having investment accounts, for your children, is really instilling in them principles where they're going to pick up
Mm-hmm.
on that down the line, and they'll teach that to their kids.
Yeah.
And there's one scripture that I'm a very spiritual, faithful. I keep my
Same.
faith in God, and even with
Same.
reading the book, I got that feeling from you as well. That it says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, and
Mm.
I think that scripture is in Proverbs, and it's such a powerful scripture because
Yeah.
that's really generational wealth in itself. You're not really focusing on your child, but you're
Mm.
focusing on what the child is going to do for their children. And it's
Yeah.
just, man, it's that's where the mind frame has to be, especially in our community. I just think that we're too focused on things that don't create assets for us, and
Mm.
we just have to find a way to get over that hump, man. So for you to even be doing that now with your child, and everything that you've been proclaiming as a financial coach, everything you're
Thank
doing
you.
on your platform is very needed. And definitely, man, continue to keep doing what you're doing. So
You too, Kane.
um
Man, it's been
yeah,
amazing, bro. Man, let's go,
yeah,
man. I appreciate this, man. This definitely just
yeah,
inspired me and motivated me on all levels, man. So as always, bro, I'm just thankful, man. And that's people will learn that from me too, man. I'm a very humble guy, spiritual guy, man, and also a supportive guy.
yeah,
I've spent a lot of money with a lot of different people, and supported them just off love. And
yeah,
it's gonna come back. It is
yeah,
gonna come back, but Definitely appreciate your platform, man. 41 episodes, bro.
Yeah,
This is
I know.
huge. So I'm looking forward to just when you at 141 and
I know.
deals are coming through. I proclaim that over you. Deals are coming and people want to partner, and I can look back and remember like y'all ain't even messing with me. I was on episode 41 before he popped up, man. So from the D, from to Cleveland, from Michigan, Ohio, man, it's always love, bro.
Oh man, you already know, man. Even though we're from two different places, we well connected, man. I know so many people in Ohio, and I
Nice.
feel like it's always love. Even with going to Bowling Green, it was about a couple hours from where I lived at in Michigan, and everybody that I met that was from Ohio, it was just great vibes, man. And I got nothing but respect for you and your city. And
Salute.
yeah, man. I guess the final question here that I want to ask is how can people really connect with you on social media and learn more about what you're doing with your businesses?
Yeah, so no, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, y'all, at Rosco underscore NOE. So ROSCO NOE. A lot of people know Roscoe spelled with the knee, so I go by No E, man. That's another story. I talk about that in the book as well. You can go to my website, wheremyfalconsat.com. Wheremyfalconsat.com is how you can learn more about the book, how you can learn more about my store, how you can purchase and support. Again, once you do order, I get notifications. It's in my home office here. I do the research, package it up the whole nine. I'll send it out to you. And YouTube as well, man. Everything just Roscoe Noe, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and then my website where myfalconsat.com, man. So definitely looking forward to y'all learning more about me and seeing more of what is going on. But just know y'all gonna see a lot more of me in the near future, man, and just to go, man. So I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, no problem. And everyone, if you definitely go to Roscoe's social media outlets, follow him, stay connected, definitely support the book. You know what I mean as
Let's
well.
go.
This is a great book, man. I definitely think everybody
Appreciate
got to
you,
lock
brother.
in. So go to his website. I'll put all of his information in the show notes. And if you all can continue to like, subscribe, and share this video, if you can rate, leave a review on the podcast, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm also going to put my link tree in the show notes so you all can connect with me in other ways and also be able to support my Patreon page where I'm creating some exclusive content on there as well. So, Roscoe, man, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I really enjoyed your time. And I just want to tell everyone thank you for tuning in to another episode of Insightful Principles and take care.